Let's call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Welcome, everybody. Got a full agenda, and we'll try to get through all of our business as timely as possible. First, Bob Gifford.
Yes, Judge. We've been doing several generator projects throughout the county, and we're down to one that is used at the Tatumsville plant for North Washer Water. This generator is about 25 years old, and it takes a lot of tinkering to keep it running, and this is a vital part of all of Marshall County because we can supply backup to several other districts within the county. So I attended a workshop in order to make this application to the Homeland Security. You have a copy of the resolution in front of you that would take the court's approval. This project that I'll apply for funding, this is 100% funding, is $121,519. So I would need the court's permission to make this application through the resolution that you have.
All right, let me read the resolution. And we'll have to put a number with it. This is a resolution of the Marshall County Fiscal Court, Marshall County, Kentucky, authorizing the judge executive to make application for and upon approval to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to facilitate and administer the project and to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Marshall County, Kentucky desires to make an application for the United States Department of Homeland Security and/or Commonwealth of Kentucky funds for a project to be administered by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. Whereas it is recognized that an application for and approval of Kentucky Office of Homeland Security funds impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county. Now therefore be it resolved the 16th day of July 2013 by the Marshall County Fiscal Court, the judge executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including a memorandum of agreement as may be required by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for the furtherance of the above referenced project and to act as authorized correspondent for said project. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
You have a number for that resolution you can put on there, Judge.
You don't require a number for resolutions.
Okay. I have one other request, Judge, and that is for Sanitation District Number 1, requesting funds from the Delta Regional Authority in the amount of $1,725 for Paul Feld Engineering. This is work that we've done on the preliminary plans, and we're about ready to go to bid for that project.
Sanitation District Number 1.
Yes.
All right. You need a motion?
Yes, sir, for $1,725 for Paul Feld Engineering.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
We did not rank high enough on the state asked us to make application through the state revolving loan fund for the remainder funding for Sanitation District Number 1. Through their process, we did not rank high enough to get that funding. So this week, KIA has promised that if we didn't get it through there, that they would loan us the money, and I'm starting that process this week.
All right, you gotta try to meet with Covington this week?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Kathy Thompson.
I'm giving you the copy of the taxing district for the health department. And basically, out of that total you got there, we've got a health department budget of 6.5. The taxing district revenue that we're bringing over, that we're collecting for that 7.5% that we're collecting from the health tax that we've got out there. We're gonna remove and bring over to the health department appropriations of 3.4 million. So to help run our operations, that's gonna leave you with a balance of 1,675 estimated. In that, of course, you know, taxes, we don't know what's gonna come in or go, and depending on if we have foreclosures or anything going on, but estimations based on previous years' experience and stuff we've had, we're estimating that to be that total. Of that, your health department budget, the capital project of our new building out there, the total budget for the capital to finish the renovations that we've got to the building out there was 3.1 million. So we're transferring over 3.4 out of the taxing district to help us with, basically with that building. Again, this is just part of the monies that help run the health department. You've got the federal dollars, state dollars, and the local dollars that help run that facility down there. So if something happens and worst case scenario goes up, just want to remind fiscal court, if these dollars are not there and we still need to finish that building out there, it will be on the fiscal court's responsibility to possibly take out a loan to get us into that building or make cuts in the health department budget. So you've got that before you. So, any questions?
Any questions?
I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. But we already found it out, the windows were not the windows that were bid, that were put in there. So that's something that attorneys will have to deal with, but we're looking at replacing those with the type of windows we originally bid. That wasn't the case, so we'll see what happens. You need a motion to approve the proposed budget? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the budget, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
Judge, I'm sorry, are we
Oh, I'm
approving
sorry.
or accepting? We're accepting, right?
Accepting your proposed budget.
Okay, I just want
Yeah.
to make sure we're not approving their budget, we just accept it, right? Okay.
That's right. The health board approved the budget.
Yes, right.
All right, Brian Kurtzinger. Brian, you're there, you? Didn't see you, Brian.
Thank you, Judge. Well, Mr. Gifford has kind of already told the court about the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security has opened their application period. And the Ambulance Service, too, is filling out an application for, as I told you earlier, the Stryker power stretchers. They're battery-operated hydraulic stretchers that, once the patient's placed on the stretcher, all the ambulance crews have to do is push a button, and it raises. It has a lift capacity of 700 pounds, so it can lift, you know, some pretty heavy people. We're partnering in this grant with Murray-Callaway County EMS to provide us with some stretchers and also to provide them with some. So for that, just like Mr. Gifford said, I have a copy of a resolution here that would have to be approved by the court and signed for, to give us permission to submit this application.
And by kind of partnering with Callaway County, that would probably enhance our,
Absolutely. The Kentucky
shot
Office
at
of
getting-
Homeland Security, they're real big on collaboration. They like for you to, you know, start initiatives, and they like, you know, like mutual aid agreements, and they prefer you to kind of reach out and to kind of initiate like regional projects, such as partnering with Murray. And I know in the past we've partnered with Graves County, McCracken County, Fulton, Ballard, pretty much all the counties in Region 1 we've partnered with. And I know most of the other agencies in Region 1 have power stretchers already. I think the only two that do not are Marshall and Murray. So that's why I've kind of been talking with Marty Barnett, their director, and we've kind of discussed this and talked about different kinds of stretchers. And we've actually talked to people that actually have the Stryker stretchers already to see how they like them, whether they did or didn't like them. And everybody we've talked to says they're a tremendous asset to have for your agency. So that's what we decided upon. The grant amount total is $119,208. That is for 6 stretchers, 4 for us and 2 for Murray, 4 for us and 2 for Murray. And that does include a 5-year service package, which means pretty much within a 5-year period, if anything goes wrong, any maintenance issues, something breaks or tears up, Stryker is responsible for replacing it. And I did include in the application that is optional as far as that service package, whether or not that would be a, you know, kind of a breaking point as whether we could get funding for it or not. So I did put that as optional, but kind of like Bobby said, I just need a
all right,
a
let me
motion by
read
the
the
court to approve
resolution.
that.
This is a resolution of Marshall County, Kentucky, authorizing the judge executive to make application for and upon approval to enter enter an agreement with Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to facilitate and administer the project and to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Marshall County desires to make an application for United States Department of Homeland Security and/or Commonwealth of Kentucky funds for a project to be administered by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. Whereas it is recognized that an application for and approval of Kentucky Office of Homeland Security funds impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the 16th day of July, 2013, by Marshall County, Kentucky, the judge executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including a memorandum of agreement, as may be required by KOHS for the furtherance of the above referenced project, and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gold. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
What's your question? Yes,
Will Marshall be administering this grant?
yes,
Okay.
yes. The amount is $119,208. And something else that the Office of Homeland Security wanted us to kind of tell the counties and cities of people that are applying is that this is a reimbursement grant, meaning that the county would initially have to pay for the equipment up front, and then once everything is approved and we get copies of the checks and everything, we would submit all that to the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, and then they would reimburse the county of that amount.
So we would upfront the cost, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I need a copy of this too. Sure. Thank you, Brian. Mike Van Steenberger?
He's out of town, at Memphis.
Oh, okay. So he'll come at another meeting, Joe Bill? Okay. Mike wanted to talk about the firing range, so we'll have him on the agenda at our August meeting.
Go around 6.
Okay, all right. Justin Orr.
I just have a question about Golf Court Road. I own a little triangle piece of property, and the deeds on it show that I've got a plat, and it shows a 40-foot right-of-way on the east side of the property. And the county says it's a 40-foot road on the other side of the property. And I was just wondering when it was changed, or whether it had to be changed, or...
Several years ago, as we talked before, there was when DBA reserved that easement that's behind you, it doesn't have anything to do with the county road.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a document of record that shows that easement has been abandoned.
When was that?
I couldn't tell you the exact date,
Okay.
but it is of record in the county clerk's office.
But it's still on my deed, and I can't do anything with it, right?
Well, that's between, you know, when it was abandoned, I can't tell you who owns it. I mean, that would have to be determined by, you know, the record. I couldn't tell you that. But that, you know, that right-of-way back there behind your property is not the road right-of-way, and the county makes no claim to that.
Yeah. Well, when it was left in the deed, that was, well,
Right.
that was the access road. I
Right,
mean, that
that's
was the
between you and your other property owners over there.
But, in other words, that 40-foot that the TVA left for access, it can't be used then.
Well, no, I think it's been abandoned, but you all would have to have it determined who owns it and who can use it.
Yeah, well, I own the property, but I don't know who owns the right of way, you took saying?
Right. Right, I would have someone research that if I were you, to tell me exactly what my rights were regarding my other property owners.
Where would I start?
Hmm?
Where would I start?
I'd contact an attorney if I were you, have them research those records.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Kevin?
I've got a couple of things. As I informed the court last meeting we had that I was gonna have a meeting with Penn Narcotics Task Force. That meeting did happen on the 2nd of July. And, of course, it's been out in the media. It was decided by the board, which I was a part of, and I didn't share this attitude, I guess you would say. The board decided to downsize because of the loss of monies that the task force was going to get from the federal government. And it was voted on to downsize to 11 counties, and it was at 18. So all of the Jackson Purchase counties that was a part of it is now no longer part of the Penn Narcotics Task Force. We are no longer part of it effective that day. That affects the sheriff's office in the way of an officer's salary. A portion of that, I'm gonna have to budget that in from now on. Fuel costs, I'm gonna have to take care of. Buy monies, I'm gonna have to take care of. Equipment, I'm gonna have to take care of. And basically what I was needing the court to do, I talked with the board after we were dissolved, and the fiscal court, I think back in April, if I'm not mistaken, had given, I think it's $8,033 for their participation part of the Penn Narcotics Task Force. Because I am not going to discontinue narcotics operations in Marshall County. It is a very important thing to the citizens of this county. I asked the board if, instead of returning our check, would they be willing to sign over the vehicle that my officer that was assigned to it to the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. And the board said that they felt like that was more than fair, since it was not a choice of mine to get out of the task force. So what I'm asking today from the fiscal court, if you would make an amendment to your motion to pay that fee to the Penn, to amend it to use that monies to purchase this vehicle. That way I do not have to purchase a vehicle for that officer. And believe you me, we are getting the better end of this deal. It's a 2010 vehicle. So we are getting a good vehicle, and we will be able to continue on. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to find a vehicle for this officer. And like I said, the board was more than willing to do that, so that was more than fair to sign that over to us. So that's what I'm asking with the fiscal court, if they would make that amendment that we would purchase that vehicle with that $8,000 instead of the check being returned to the fiscal court.
That check was still outstanding as of June 30th.
So they've agreed to this deal, Ken?
Yes, they have. Matter of
All right.
fact, I have title in hand.
You've heard the request of the sheriff. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the transfer of the vehicle in lieu of our payment to the Penn Narcotics Task Force for a vehicle now being used by the Marshall County Sheriff's Department. Is there a second? Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you. I will inform you, I have a meeting scheduled this afternoon with 3 other sheriffs from the purchase area. We are going to discuss possibly forming our own task force with the purchase area counties. That's just preliminary discussions at this point, but we are.
Did we not have a drug task force at one time?
At one time,
years ago?
the Tri-County, and when it dissolved, Penn picked us up.
Right.
And like I said.
Was it us, McCracken and Graves?
No, it was us, Graves, and Callaway.
Us, Graves and Callaway.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there are 4 other area sheriffs that's gonna meet today with me, and we're gonna discuss where we go from here. Now, as far as us working together, down here in the purchase area, we work great with each
Sure.
other, you know, and shouldn't anything change. We just need to look at jurisdictional purposes, see if there's any monies out there to help support, and that's just some of the things that we're gonna discuss. So just to let fiscal court know that we're definitely gonna try to do something with that.
Okay.
The second thing that I have, this is continuing to be a something that's happened quite frequently. I talked with Sandra in GIS yesterday, and she told me what the issue is. I'm sure you're aware of whenever the city of Benton redid their power station, we've had some problems with voltage levels dropping in our generators at the judicial building as well as at the jail complex, kicking off and on constantly. I think they may have that issue resolved possibly, but we still have power surges because whenever it does its month or weekly check and it switches over, there's just a slight little bit of a power surge. Well, what's going on, there is it's over in Rogers' portion of the building, it's called a Netgear switch that powers all the internet for my office as well as Rogers. And in that time delay from when one power source picks up to the other one, it's supposed to be on battery backup. Well, those battery backups are dead. They're completely gone. And it shuts our internet service completely down, which leaves my office completely out. I mean, I can't,
For how long, Ken?
until I can get somebody from GIS to go and reset it. And sometimes that's, with the busy schedule they have. But it shuts down all my e-warrants, my KY ops. I mean, practically everything that I do in the office, I can't do. I don't know what Roger's problems is with the internet service, but it does shut his down as well. With talking with Sandra, she said to replace those batteries would be $200, or to replace that complete battery backup unit would be $500. I don't know where that lies budgetary wise because we share
Well,
that.
It don't matter. I mean, it's gotta be done, Kev.
But
It's
that's-
the first I've heard of this.
Well, that's why I'm bringing this
I
to
mean,
you because.
You guys gotta have this.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would say if Sandra, did she recommend $500 for the complete?
Well, she didn't recommend one way or the other. She just said that would be the cost to replace the batteries would be around $200, or replace the unit would be $500.
I'd say, well, leave that up to you, but I'd say we ought to replace the unit.
Well, that's what I was asking the court, because like I said, I don't know.
Well, I'd recommend that we spend $500 to, get that taken care of.
Make a motion, Judge.
Have a motion by Squire Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Get with Sandra and
Okay.
let's get that done, Kev. I wasn't aware of it.
All right.
I didn't mention it to me.
There are some funds in the GIS budget for that type of thing.
Okay.
For upgrading.
We'll cover it.
equipment.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Joe? Mr. Joe and I have been working on something for, how many years, Joe?
Oh.
2 years?
Well, yeah, and I've been working on it for,
Yeah.
I want to thank Judge Miller and the court for having me here today. I'm a new face, and it's, for you folks, it's a new situation, but for me, it's been a thorn in my side in the neighborhood for 4 years. I've got some pictures of the property. Now, it had been mowed a month ago. It was mowed twice last year. This property was more or less abandoned in July of 2009, so we're right at a 4-year period right now. You'll see that there's a swimming pool, which was fairly good size above ground. It's had water in it for 4 years. I have contacted the health department the last 2 or 3 years. One time they put chemicals in it. My neighbor and I, we shoot it with bleach to just keep the mosquitoes down. A year or so ago, when one of the people were mowing the yard, I complained to them and they said, well, I don't even know who's paying us. At that time, it was someplace by Texas. But somebody did come out and put a cover on the swimming pool. However, heavy rains just washed that cover down, so that's just another thing that's laying in the swimming pool, and that's a mess. The property involves about actually 3 parcels of land, but another concern is the property that's right by the road where we exit and enter out onto Searles Road. This is about 1.5 miles outside of Aurora, between Jonathan Creek Bridge and Aurora, and it's off of Searles Road. And I'm about 100 yards off of Highway 68. There's only 7 houses in the community, but this property sits on the end, and so when you're enter and exit, Now then, there's trees about this high. Well, I've planted enough and been around enough, once a tree gets this high, in another year, it's gonna be this high. And we're not even gonna be able to see out getting in and off of the road. We don't have any children that live in the neighborhood, however, there are grandkids that come in, and that pool is open for a child to climb up in there and fall in. It's a health hazard, plus it's just running down the community. It's a mess. I've tried to contact the banks. I do have another number for you, Mike, that I contacted about a year and a half ago.
I contacted the lady, you gave me her number the other day, Mr. Joe. I talked with her, and they had to file bankruptcy, I suppose, and said she thought that it was with Chase Bank. Miss Sanders is who I talked to. She said, why don't you just punch a hole in that swimming pool? And I said, well, ma'am, I don't know we can do that. I said, we've got a real problem here.
Well,
Not only mosquitoes, but grandchildren coming in there could fall in that pool. And my question, I guess, to the court, and we have had.
We're working with Julie Connors also with the
Julie
health
has
department.
contacted the same people that I contacted down in Texas. The taxes are being paid by somebody out of Texas.
The yard's being mowed 4 weeks ago. It was mowed by somebody out of California. I mean, they were hired out, somebody out of California, but they can't give you any names or nothing. And
Right.
as Mike knows and Julie knows, they've been working on it since April, and they're just wanting to shoot themselves in the foot because they can't get answers.
We have written to people, we've done everything I know to do. And my question is to the court, and Bob, I guess this is in your district.
Oh, yeah, I know where it is.
If we could declare an emergency and drain that pool and mow that lot for safety reasons, and then put a lien on the property.
You can't put a lien on the property for that. The petition is filed to have it cleaned up.
I've petitioned the sheriff's
Yeah.
department the last 2 years on that, and I just finally kind of threw up my hands, and that's when I contacted Mike Fisher, Judge Miller, and he sent Julie out, and, they've been very cooperative. And I know Julie has spent hours, and she's just, we don't know what to do, but us property owners would just like to have somebody do something. And I've thought about putting a hole in it. But if you looked at it, it's full of trash, it's got that tarp in it, I'd have to blow a hole in it this big to drain it. And I don't, I've tried to be a law-abiding citizen, and but I don't know if that's my responsibility.
Jeff, is there any reason we can't drain that?
Well,
I mean, can we not take it down?
I think that you ought to do it through the nuisance ordinance. That's what that's set up for.
Does it fit that? That's been my question the whole time, is it?
I think it would,
Does
it's a
it fit
hazard.
that?
Possibly. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be for the
I
board to
mean,
determine.
okay, I mean, that's something that's never been clearly defined to me, what constitutes a
You
nuisance
know,
and
it's
what
not,
doesn't.
there's some
Anytime there's a
toys,
complaint,
there's some
you can
other
assume-
things
Oh,
sitting
yeah,
around. There's
there-
not any wrecked cars or anything, any major.
No, but there's
huge
glass
trash
and
piles.
there's mirrors, there's glass,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that, hey, I was one of these, I'm a boy. I used to throw rocks at stuff and everything, and I know how kids are. They see glass laying around, or, they want to bust it, and heck, all you got to do is see what's in that swimming pool, and a little guy get up there, and, it's easy to fall in. Plus, if it wasn't for the neighborhood putting chemicals in it to kill the mosquitoes, it's a complete hazard.
Did you say that the person that owns it authorized somebody to knock a hole in it?
She don't own it. She said they took bankruptcy, they've been out
Oh,
of it.
that's it, okay.
That's
she
what
said for 2
she's,
years.
yes, but
She
when
said
you,
she couldn't tell me, and Mr. Joe hadn't been able to find out what bank it's Chase, but we don't know.
I found that I called that number a year. I've been in contact with banks for the last 3 years or so, but when I get an answer, they say they cannot tell me nothing. And the kids swear, when I say kids, the Sanders that live there, they swear that they got a letter saying that they're washed out of it. However, Judge Miller and Julie Connors have been going in the same circle I've been going in, and it comes back that their name is still on the property. However, I know they haven't made a house payment on it for 4 years. This property was going to be auctioned off about a year and a half after the 2009. My neighbor and I come to the courthouse. We was going to put a bid on it and try to rent it, fix it up. Well, we got up here and it was pulled off of the roster. And Julie's kind of talked to somebody, and it's one of them things they say, well, it must be something that's just fell through the cracks. I don't know. Banks usually will not just set on money and let it go down a drain for 4 years without doing something. But it's been 4 years, and all I'm asking is if you fine folks could find a way to drain that pool and run your mowing equipment around there a couple times a year, particularly if it got mowed down in the one side lot. I mean, if I had the permission, I'd even go in there after the trees and stuff was knocked down and I'd trim around the mailboxes and stuff and on their property so that you can at least get to the mailboxes. Anyway, I hope the court can find some way to help us in this situation.
Joe and I have been, like I said, we've been working on this, 2 years, Mr. Joe?
Yeah.
And we've called people, we've written letters, we're just kind of frustrated.
Judge, that's a portable pool. I mean, it's above
It's
ground.
above ground, yeah.
Why can't we just drain the water out? We don't have to destroy the property to take the water out.
But if you drain it, but I mean, it'll just rain back in.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
unless you
take it
do
down.
something.
take it down.
Take it
Taking
down.
it down will work.
We'd love that, you know. It's a shame, that pool was only put up about a year before they moved. Boy, if
amazing
things
that
could have
it's
happened, a long time ago.
Have we attempted to make contact and they've not responded on those nuisance complaints?
We have contacted the people who are paying the taxes. They're out of Texas. Why they're paying them, I don't know, Commissioner.
I mean, through the nuisance process,
And
my
I've talked to Ms. Sanders, and she said, we've been out of there, I believe she said 4 years.
It was, when I got a hold of Mike last year, about every year, I make a strong determination I'm gonna do something about it. So last year early, I got a hold of the Sanders, and I said, as far as I know, you folks still have the name on this property, and I'd like to see something done about it. Well, the only thing they done, there was about a nice 10 by 18 barn, just storage barn. They had somebody loaded up and they took the barn out, and they must have went in the house and got a few more items, because they told us, well, when they left, they just left everything there. And they must have got a few more items. I wasn't around, I was working at that time. And anyway, the only thing they done was throw more trash out the door.
Out the back.
Jeff,
Can the health department,
Judge.
could they make some kind of ruling that this is a health
That's what they've done.
problem
Julie's
and
done
we
that.
can
She's
remove
written
that
letters.
pool?
I just reviewed the state statute. I think it would fit the definition of a nuisance. The state statute is what defines what constitutes a nuisance. Our ordinance is the enforcement mechanism to enforce that statute. And I just reviewed the language of the state statute, and I think the pool would fit the definition of a nuisance as it's contemplated under that statute.
that's what my fear is, if we do this one outside of the regular procedure of the nuisance ordinance, we're gonna find
That's the
ourselves in a
reason
very
you've got the
similar
ordinance.
situation throughout
Well,
the county.
that's what I want clarification on from the statement you made a while ago, Jeff. Any nuisance complaint I get in, assume that it is a nuisance and do
Well,
my
or
thing.
just, I
Well,
mean-
no, let's don't.
Well, no, let me finish what I'm saying
Okay.
too. If you want us to review it, we'll be happy to review it. But, basically, if there's something that exists like this, yeah, you can assume that's a nuisance.
Well, what I'm saying is, I would like help on what is nuisance, what isn't, because each situation changes, it's never the same. So according to what you said a while ago, when somebody turns one in, I assume that it is a nuisance and
Well,
do my
if
thing
we,
with it.
I'll look over them if you'd like us to do that.
Either, you know, and if it goes to the refuge board, if they have hearings,
And that's where the final decision's made.
and that's why I still have issue with, why is it coming through my office if they're gonna make the final decision? Why can't it be the refuge that
Well,
actually does
Because
this?
that, when the ordinance was started years ago,
I
the sheriff
understand.
was named as the enforcement officer.
And I understand that.
I think it needs to be redone. We've talked about that.
Well,
Maybe we can
I
have a
mean,
workshop or something
I will
to,
start sending them to
to,
him to let him review every one of them I get in, because in my interpretation of it, and it could be wrong, because like I said, I don't have a clear understanding of what is a nuisance and what isn't, because one that I feel like isn't, saying it is, one I feel like it is, and saying it's not, so
I think the
that
problem is
puts me in the middle.
you're still named in the ordinance as the procedure. Is that something that we
I mean,
could sit
that's-
down and discuss like we talked about
That's
before?
where I'm
Maybe
looking
looking
for
at
help
something
on
like
this, is
what,
basically what I'm looking for.
I'd like to say one thing, that in the last couple of years, I have found it to be a problem for myself, because I have went to the sheriff and filed complaints. I have got a hold of Mike, I have got a hold of the health department, and here I am today, 4 years later, still wondering what's going on.
Exactly.
and you're one of many.
And I don't want to be a
Right.
nuisance of my own, but sometimes matters hard need to be brought up, and I do appreciate it. I thank the court for the time that they've given me today, and I hope that we can resolve it. Plus, the property with the trees growing up by the road, and I don't know if that's state or county or who could mow that. I
This
don't-
county, if you'll just contact us, Mike or myself, if it's impacting the right of way, then we can certainly trim any of that back. That's
Well,
not a problem.
I'm contacting you right now, sir.
Jeff, do you want to walk him through the steps of the nuisance process so he knows what the court's going to be
He's already
doing?
done it.
Oh, I know, but I don't think that it's been filed. The nuisance,
Yeah, it is.
so it's already been filed, so that's already,
Yes, it's
okay,
no
so then
joke.
how long will it go before the
We met with
refuse?
Julie 2 months ago, and she filed it.
How long will it be before it goes before the refuse?
I don't know.
I just wanted him to have a timeline so that he understands what the court is doing. So the nuisance complaint's been filed, there was no response, it's gone before Julie, and now it's gonna go before the refuse board. They'll make a final determination? That's right?
Has the notice been sent?
Again, like I was saying, I didn't feel like it fit what our nuisance statute said.
Right.
That's
We
what I'm
haven't sent a
saying.
notice
So-
yet. We'll
so
let
he's
you
gonna
know.
send the
No,
notice.
have
Okay,
not.
that'd be the next
Because-
step then.
He'll,
Like I said, I'm
he'll
gonna-
send the notice,
I'm gonna
they'll have an
limit all
opportunity
this.
to
I'm gonna send them all
respond.
to
If
you.
they don't,
I'm not gonna do the investigation for you.
his notice hasn't been sent.
I will help
His
review,
official notice
but
hasn't been
you
sent.
can't, I mean, if you wanna redraft the ordinance so that it's my job, we'll do that, but
Who is?
All I'm doing is
Kevin, who
asking
is
for
the-
help on it.
Who is the, see, I think the problem is, that Joe and I've run into, is we don't know who to contact.
Well, nobody gives you an answer. That bank I
That's-
called, and,
that's been part of the
and they'll
problem.
get
Right.
on the phone and say, well, I cannot give, I've offered to buy it for the last, well, I don't offer to buy it no more. It's been sitting there, there's no heat, no nothing in the house. I don't want it now. I would have loved to have it a year and a half ago.
Actually, it really, was a really nice house.
Yeah, yeah. And if I was younger, I could go in there and gut it. But I can't buy it because nobody will sell it to me.
all you have to do is notify the title owner. It don't matter.
And then you meet your requirement, right? I mean, that's all you
All
have
it's
to do.
required.
That's, so I guess what I'm letting you know is he's going to file that now. He's not gonna have to worry about who to send it to. He's gonna send it to the title owner. Then from there, if they don't respond, it'll go to the refuse commission. Then they'll make the decision. I'm sure we all know what that's
Do we
gonna
know
be.
who the
seems-
title owner is?
If they don't respond, it becomes final at that point.
So it doesn't even have to go to the refuse.
Right.
Okay.
Only goes to
No
the
hearing,
refuge if they appeal.
if they appeal.
Okay.
Since it's been
So
in
there you go.
bankruptcy and all that, do we know who the title owner is?
Whoever shows in the clerk's office.
As far as we know, it's
Kevin,
Stephen
I've
D.
got
Sanders.
Joe's found a PO box and a phone number for Chase down in Jacksonville, Florida. Now,
What-
Ms. Sanders told me
Yeah.
that Chase took over, but she didn't know where, which Chase bank.
Well, and that was somebody I found that after digging. If I knew 4 years ago what I know now, I'd have kept precise records of all but you just don't think that something's gonna drag out.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things I think about, And I don't remember precise dates and times. All I know is I've been fighting it for a long time.
What is the property address?
26 Dogwood Place, Benton, Kentucky, 42025.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Joe Orcutt, O-R-C-U-T-T. Don't hold this against me.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your patience.
I appreciate you too, Mike.
We've
I
had a lot of
appreciate the help.
conversations.
We
and
have, and I
We've tried to
appreciate-
correspond to everybody we know to
And,
talk to, and, as soon as
talk-
you gave me her number the other day, I called right after I
Yeah.
talked to you, and she was very nice to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
to.
she's always been nice. I just don't think they,
She just says we're out of it.
well,
Just
and
tear
that's,
it down.
yeah, and so anyhow, thank you very much. I'm sorry I took up more
That's
time.
okay,
I know
Joe.
you're busy.
Thank you, Mr.
God
Joe.
bless you all.
All right, let's move now into correspondence. We have a letter that came to the road department that I thought was very nice from Mr. Curtis Phillips. To whom it may concern, I called Monday, July the 8th, and requested that a new culvert, which I purchased, be incorporated into my driveway. Even though the old culvert had rusted, I was in no major hurry to have it done. The only inconvenience was the culvert lying in my grass. Today, July 13th, the road crew arrived between 6:30 and 7 and began work installing the new culvert. Last year, the same crew had put riprap in my ditch to help with the erosion problem on my property. At that time, it was also Jason who cleared the ditch and spread the rocks evenly and professionally. Watching the way Jason worked my driveway to install the culvert was like watching an artist at work, and I told him so. I've lived in 14 states, and by far, this is the friendliest and most professional county road crew I have encountered. I would like to thank the entire crew for prompt, professional, and courteous service you provided this morning. I truly appreciate it. Sincerely, Curtis Phillips, 17 Sierra Lane, Gilbertsville. So I appreciate the road department, the work they're doing. From Rand Gunnell, said, "Dear Mr. Miller, please tell the maintenance department I really appreciate their trimming the trees back adjacent to 3370 Moores Camp Highway. It sure makes it a lot easier and safer to exit our driveway." From Marty Johnson, Marty and I met with the new administrator of the Marshall County Hospital several years ago. The Marshall County Fiscal Court, the Marshall County Hospital, and the Marshall County Health Department entered into an interlocal agreement to buy the old post office building in Calvert City. At that time, we used a portion of the building as a health department, and a portion of it was leased to Dr. Waller. Now, we have since, because of lack of patience, closed our portion, the health department. And Dr. Waller is still the only physician using the building. He pays rent to the hospital. So the Board of Health, and we're asking the fiscal court for your approval into looking in, and if the hospital agrees, to sell the building and divide the profits among the three entities that paid for. I would just, we don't need it. So I'd need a motion if you, or if y'all want time to think about it, that's whatever y'all want.
They contacted me, I think someone from that office last year, and were fearful that that might happen. Is there any sort of a contingency plan for, or other buildings available where Dr. Waller could practice, or I would hate to just.
I don't know. We're not getting any of the rent, the hospital's getting
Right.
the rent. He is only there, someone told me, maybe one day a week, but he does have a nurse practitioner this day. And to answer your question, I don't know, Commissioner Drew, I don't know.
I just maybe like to consult with him first and just
Sure.
see.
Well, it's something to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Let's just-
absolutely.
We'll table it.
Medical office is open every day.
Yeah, it's open every day. I said Dr. Waller's only there. Somebody said, yes, yes, he does have someone there.
If that were to close, there would be no
Right,
service.
right. That's what the concern was last year, I believe, so. It may be possible to find another renter for the building. I mean, I think it was set up pretty well for, that may be an option, maybe
Could-
when we look
could
into
be.
it.
Could be.
And maybe split those proceeds, if that's a possibility.
Well, we insure the building, right?
We do.
We insure the building.
Mhm.
The hospital gets the rent. How much that is, I don't know. I don't know. We'll table that, we'll look at it.
Okay.
Talk to those folks. From Marty Johnson, Dear Judge Miller, the purpose of this letter is to make it clear that nothing I said during the June 25th meeting of the fiscal court should have been construed in a manner that would imply that Greg Northcutt and the Calvert City Council were being uncooperative in the county's efforts to enact a countywide animal control ordinance. To the contrary, Greg Northcutt has been very cooperative in this endeavor, and to my knowledge, the Calvert City Council hasn't been given the opportunity to discuss the matter. Jeff Edwards, Greg as Calvert City's attorney, Jason Darnell as the attorney for the city of Hardin, and myself as city attorney for Benton have met, reviewed the proposed animal control ordinance, and we have received and commented on those provisions that each of us believes should be added or deleted. And this process will be continuing until we agree on the final draft of an ordinance we believe the fiscal court should consider adopting. I apologize to you and the members of the fiscal court for any comments or statements I made that may have fostered any impression that Greg Northcutt and the city of Calvert and the city council were not being cooperative in this effort. Marty Johnson. From the Aurora Ross Fire Department Auxiliary to the fiscal court, members of the Aurora Ross Fire Department Auxiliary would like to thank you for all your help. We already are making plans for the pavilion and the Songram House. Work has already begun to make it a place Aurora can be proud of. Thank you, the Aurora Ross Fire Department Auxiliary. From the CMRS board, this is to Chairman Myers. Kev, are you chairman?
Chairman of the 911 board. yes.
911 board. I'm pleased to announce that the Marshall County E911 board has been awarded a 2013 CMRS board grant. Your grant request fell into Category 1 awards, which means that your application contains some variation of a request for 911 controller system. For each qualifying grant applicant that met the criteria of Category 1, the CMRS board approved an award equal to the number of calls taking positions your PSAP is currently operating today, as self-reported on our annual PSAP survey document, multiplied by a flat amount to be determined at a later date by the CMRS board. Please note that if your application also contained a request for additional PSAP equipment that was not approved for funding. In conformance with the Kentucky 911 plan, the CMRS board has decided that PSAP wishing to upgrade their 911 equipment with assistance grants from the CMRS board will be given the option to join a host and remote configuration. Maybe you can tell me what that means, hi Sherry. The CMRS board technical consultants are currently working with existing providers of host and remote solutions to develop a menu of options. Bottom line is, according to Luby, he'll be going up to meet
Yes.
with them very quickly. The grant request was $173,389.24. Now, what we have, as I understand it, Sheriff, is preliminary approval, and then Luby will have to go before the board and make his case. And
Basically, what it boils down to is we've asked for a phone controller system that is a standalone system, but the state is interested in, as I said, a host and remote system set up through them. I don't know if you remember a few years back, they wanted everyone to get on the Viper system, and that was a system that was going to be a statewide control through the state police. That's basically what we're going to go see and see what this system is like. Luby says he wants to contact people to see if they like this system and if it does work, because we do know that when folks did get on the Viper, it didn't work like it was supposed to, and there's not very many people on that system anymore. So that's the direction that the CMRS board is leaning toward, is using their bunch instead of what we've actually requested for. But Luby's definitely interested in seeing what they've got to say, because we're pretty confident if we do go with them, we'll get completely funded.
yeah, and this would be for a new control board, right?
Yes, it will fix all of our.
Modernize?
Yes,
Yeah.
all of the
So
problems we're
we'll-
having now.
We'll keep you informed. I think Luby goes up next month.
The end of this month, the
End of this
30th.
month.
Mhm.
Okay. I talked to Luke the other day, and he's kind of excited about it, so.
It's very good, because there's not very many of the PSAPs that got picked for this. We was one of a very few bunch that got picked to be completely funded, which is very good.
Okay. All right, one more piece of correspondence, and this is from the National Guard. I don't know if we had gotten anything on this before. This is a letter from Jason LeMay. Several folks have told us they don't remember receiving the letter from Major General Tonini regarding the opportunity for your county to become a part of the Kentucky National Guard Memorial by purchasing a paver. So I'm resending the information via email. So far, 17 counties have honored the sacrifice and have made donations for a paver. And they call it a paver, but it's a memorial. I think they've got some pictures in there, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, 17 counties have contributed from 5 to 5,000, and the list of counties. In our area, Crittenden, Hickman, Christian have contributed. If the county's budget will not permit, perhaps the fiscal court members themselves should carry the cost to secure a paver for your county, or community leader could step forward on behalf of the citizens. Please let us know if you have any questions. I guess that's for a brick maybe, and they call it a paver, but that's what the memorial looks like. It's for fallen guardsmen. Of course, we do have a guard unit here in Marshall County. Our troops have been deployed several times. I don't even know where it's located. Bob, does it tell where it's located, the memorial?
No. At the entrance to the Boone National Guard Center in
Oh,
Frankfort.
they're at the center,
Yeah,
okay.
it's at the center in Frankfort.
Okay. So I didn't know if y'all wanted to consider making a contribution to this effort?
$500, is that what they said?
Yes. That's what most of them are giving, some of them more, I guess. I don't remember when I got a call, I said, I don't remember getting any correspondence on that. Have we brought this up before? I don't think we have.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't.
I'd make a motion that we take $500 and get a paper for the county.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Let me give that to you. Okay, let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the June 25th and the July 2nd special call meeting of the court. Any corrections or additions to the minutes of the meeting?
There's a name. That's his name right there. I know, I know. It's W-A-T-O-W-S-K-I. And then on page 5 of the June 25th minutes, I'm not sure if this is what Mr. Johnson said, but I guess maybe somehow wanted the record to reflect when we were discussing who contacted Mr. Bishop. Mr. Johnson indicated that I had recommended Mr. Bishop and then contacted him, but it was actually County Attorney Jeff Edwards that recommended Mr. Bishop. It says prior to recommending him, I contacted him, but I didn't recommend him. So I don't know if that was it may be what he said, but that I just maybe wanted somewhere in there that,
Just have to go back and listen to it. I'm not sure.
because if someone were to read this, they would think that I recommended him and contact. That's not what happened. You see what I'm saying? Mr. Johnson said he knew that I contacted Mr. Bishop prior to recommending him to the court, but I didn't recommend Mr. Bishop to the court. Does that make sense?
Okay, what I was meaning by that was when you made the recommendation that day and said that you had contacted him that morning to see if he could or could not handle the investigation. That's what I was meaning by that, so.
I didn't recommend him. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
That's Mr. Jeff
Yeah, Jeff
recommended.
recommended Mr. Bishop.
Okay, but did you contact him?
Yeah, I contacted, but it says I recommended and contacted him, but I didn't.
Okay.
No,
It
you just said you
yeah.
contacted. You didn't
Yeah,
say you recommended.
just maybe something
I
that
thought
just.
Jeff recommended him.
Yes,
That's
he
what
did.
my understanding. Okay.
Okay.
Just
We'll
that
make
way.
that correction.
Yeah.
All right, with that correction, any other corrections or additions to the minutes?
I have none.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a
for both
motion to approve
meetings.
the minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Birmingham Point subdivision. Jeff, have you heard anything on your correspondence with those people?
Yeah, I've contacted counsel for the owners and have not received a response.
No response. Okay. All right, on expanded jurisdiction ordinance, we passed the first reading of an ordinance. It was recommended that we bring somebody in from the state. We did that. We met with them when, Bob?
Last Thursday.
Thursday afternoon. Had a meeting with the gentleman from the state. I don't know about you, Bob, but I'm about as confused now as I was then. However, we were told that this person would have to be certified to a certain level. But if we picked somebody that was not certified, then our electrical inspector could sign off on his work. And I asked the question, why would he do that? Why would somebody want to do that? So he said, okay, and they have made some suggestions, so we're gonna have to go back. And Wendy is not here today. He's on vacation, but they wanted to make some changes in our first reading, right, Bob?
That's correct.
Just a couple of words, nothing big. But they said since we had sent that in, we're okay to continue. Now, what I'm recommending, I'd like to appoint a task force of our county
Task force.
yeah, trying to figure this out.
Well, then that ordinance was drafted as they requested to fit the statute.
I understand.
No ifs, ands, or buts. There was no, we couldn't change it. That's what we were told.
We sent it in, and they said we need to change some wording.
They did.
That's all I know. Of course, you were on Myrtle Beach, so.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it last night.
You wasn't worried about it. No, that's what they said. So I asked, I said, you mean we're gonna have to bring this back Well, he said it's no big thing. Okay,
I mean, it was a drop dead thing
huh?
a week before.
I understand.
Okay. As long
Tony,
as
am I
everybody
saying
understands.
what he said?
I brought it,
Basically just clarifying which code was going to apply to a certain
Yeah.
line item. It didn't amount to much.
But, anyway, to work on the ordinance.
so
that
this
we're-
whole holding up the construction in this county
No, it's
thing,
not, no, it's not.
that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen. He said we're good to go.
If we've got something within 6 months,
You're right.
it's
So
not a
we've got
problem.
6 months to go.
Now, I
Okay?
don't know what authority he had, but
Now-
that's what he said.
Well,
All right.
all right, I'd like for Tony and, Andy and Wendy and Jeff, either you or Jason, whichever, to serve on this committee or task force to make our recommendations, because there's gonna be a fee structure, there's gonna be a lot of things that we're gonna have to consider.
Now,
We
he,
just-
he gave us a lot of information that, you know, I don't know if it was correct, not correct. I mean, but he said it, that several things that I don't think that we were, that we
Well,
thought
we
was
asked a lot of-
legitimate anyway.
We
at
asked
the
a lot of
beginning.
questions, Bob and I did, so did Tony. First of all, if someone wants to put a building, an outbuilding, on their property, do they have to have it inspected? Well, not if it's a certain size.
10 by 12,
All right, what
120 square feet.
What about a detached garage? Well, if it's a detached garage and it's not over certain,
10 by 12.
you don't have to be, but if it is attached, then it's gonna have to go through the same sort of deal.
He also talked about that, this ordinance, you know, what we had here, I guess what he said, I guess if you use enough lawyerese, that it works. It says all buildings fall under this building code, basically.
That's right. That's what I was.
But it doesn't say that you have to permit all buildings. It just says they fall under, everybody's on their own to be sure they build according to the Kentucky Building Code. Now then, the next paragraph says that in single-family dwellings have to have permits and inspections and certificates of occupancy. That catches the homes now. And then he basically said it would be the policy of the court or the county whether we inspected other buildings or not. But makes what it amounted to. So if we inspect single-family dwellings, have a program with a schedule of fees, then we can keep expanded jurisdiction.
Well, any comments?
Agricultural buildings are exempt from the code, and then it can be our policy that if we want to, we can have people have permits for unattached buildings, but we don't have to.
Did he comment on their having contacted contractors to advise them that if we didn't pass that construction would stop for the next 6 months here?
Yeah,
He did say that.
I think he did.
But
He
then
did say they
said-
were behind. It could be as long as 6 months before approvals would go through. I think he said that at some point. I don't remember if he said he contacted contractors or not, but he
I know
did
he did.
say
I know
that the
somebody did.
inspectors were
Then he
behind.
said, since we had passed that first reading, that we were good to go.
That's what he said. No problem.
No
Great.
problem.
Within a reasonable length of
As far as
time.
I was concerned, that first reading doesn't mean anything.
That's
It's
what,
not-
basically what he said.
What
He
he
said if we
said,
make some changes here, that we probably should have another first reading.
Has no legal consequence.
I was just told to get him here, and I got him here.
Isn't that what he said, Tony? I mean, that's,
We're gonna have to do the first reading.
Yeah, a couple of little, I mean, the code exempts the agricultural building, not the actual,
not the ordinance.
right, not the ordinance.
That's correct.
So the ordinance, all it's basically doing is it's accepting the code as something that will permit. So, but you are correct that we could choose not to permit certain buildings.
Unattached
that
building,
The
yeah.
code does cover if we so chose to, but they would still
But the builder would still be responsible for building it according to code.
to the code. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very complicated. Which the idea of putting together a group of people to do 2 or 3 different ways that this could be implemented, whether we inspect everything, whether we just do part of them, how much money is it actually gonna produce? Will it sustain itself? Will we hire somebody full-time? Do we have somebody
Right.
part-time?
It's a lot of questions.
Right, and I mean, just to go on with the problems that, I mean, currently right now, as a taxpayer, if you wanted to build something, well, you have to go to the GIS office for an address, you have to go to the GIS office for a floodplain, you have electrical inspections, you have plumbing inspections, HVAC inspections, you're all over everywhere. So one of the things that really would be good about, you know, sitting down and trying to come up with a process is from the taxpayer standpoint, how can we simplify this?
Right, and consolidate
Keep
it.
the cost down as much as possible.
Right.
All right, my recommendation is to form this committee. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a motion, and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Jeff, you or Jason, either one, or both, if you want to. Any other old business?
Judge Rick Yemen called and said he had sent a report over here at the last regular meeting, and one of which included a $1 increase in his pay for the cleaning portion of his duties at the judicial building, and I think we overlooked that.
I thought I had something.
It's on the executive session. It's in the executive, that's what the
Oh, is it?
executive session
Okay.
is.
Okay.
We have an executive session?
That's what it says on here, Ron.
I didn't know why.
Oh,
Didn't say.
well, I knew,
I think that was it.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that, Terry.
We discussed
I
it,
thought
I
I
didn't
know
know
from
that.
you, we can do that here. That,
didn't know.
just make a motion. that
That's
we-
fine.
Since he's taking on some,
Did he give you a
added-
copy of the report?
I just had something that Bob had sent me.
Yeah, I just sent in that, I thought we ought to discuss it. I thought we'd have to do it in executive session, but I was
We
in
can.
agreement. I was in agreement that's it.
We give him extra duties, didn't we, Terry?
Oh, absolutely, and I told you.
Yeah, here it is,
in the
Bob. I
email-
saw it.
Yeah, in the email that I thought that we were all surprised that he would take on those extra duties for $1 an hour. And I don't see anything wrong with giving him the increase, but
Make a motion.
make that motion, Judge.
Have a motion, there's a second. Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. Any other old business? All right, let's move into new business.
Judge?
I keep
Can
getting, oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Could we make that effective at the first of the fiscal year? He asked me that yesterday. I told him I didn't think it'd be a problem because we just overlooked it at our last meeting. Is that okay?
Fine with me. Bob, would you like to
Yeah,
amend the motion to make this,
Make it retroactive to July 1.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I've been getting a lot of complaints on heavy trucks, particularly waste pack trucks on the old Calvert City Road. I called waste pack, I talked to their supervisory personnel, and he said that he would take care of it. Now, he also said they did have some customers on that road, and I said, well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about your trucks using that as a through road. And that road is narrow, and the complaints I'm getting is that people are having to get off the road, or they don't, it's just not a good situation. So I didn't know if we could restrict traffic to,
Judge, I'll call and talk to him too.
yeah, I had you call, yeah.
Mr. Sills,
Yeah,
and I don't guess he's here. Mr. Sills here? But I told him that we might be discussing this issue, and he was welcome to come. He also told me that that Waste Path wasn't the only truck company that would have customers, he thought, on that road too. But as far as restrictions go, I mean, if the court thinks it's creating some type of hazard, it's just like a speed limit. You have to have somebody go out there and look at it and have a basis for putting
As long as it's
restrictions.
not an
well, I
arbitrary.
know it's a narrow road.
Right.
Kevin, you've been
And-
out there.
And I don't know if they've been out there, but I have had complaints on that as well, and I call vehicle enforcement to see what they could do, because that's really their venue anyway when it comes to commercial vehicles, because they have other options that they can look at, and I have not heard back from them to see if they've been over there to do anything, but I did contact them.
Russell, really, we don't have the right of way to expand that road much, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, when I talked to Waste Path, they said, other than servicing customers, they would keep their people off the road. But I keep getting complaints that that's not the situation. So
Excuse me, Judge.
yeah,
I'm not sure if this is the case or not. I just have to check and see. But I suspect the problem is going to be, that's causing this, is there's been problems getting across the railroad tracks. And there's trains that have blocked coming from certain ways. Those guys know about it, and they're coming around that road to get into the plant properly. You know, there's been new rail tracks put in over the past several years down there on the plant loop. And what's happening is the load and unload, the trains are blocking the roads. And I'd be willing to bet you these guys are coming through the old Calvert Road, which I grew up on, to circumvent that problem. I don't know if that's true, but I suspect something
That
like
could
that's
be.
going on.
it could be.
And, what's the right of way on that road? I don't-
It's narrow.
I don't know what it is now, but I do know when I was a kid, we gave part of our property an additional right of way. But I don't know if that was a handshake deal or what, you know, get some road repairs done. And that should have been done all the way down through the Bradley State property.
Is it Old Calvert City Road or Calvert City Road?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering with him too.
Old Calvert City Road starts right there at the old Possum Trot drugstore building
Go straight back.
and goes all the way to the county line.
Right.
Judge, I think it's the,
It's all the same road.
McFarland Road.
That's what I was
Different
thinking
name.
too, yeah.
But it's all the same
Is
old
the
road.
route.
Yeah, but 911, it's a different road name.
But you call it Calvert City Road
Yeah.
and not Old Calvert Road.
I mean, all the folks out that way, that's what they call it, but it's actually called Calvert City Road where I think we're talking about. And it's, you know, Sharkow Road is the one that was having all the work done with the railroad and whatnot. And that's a, you know, quick way to cut through to get over to 62.
Well, we need to look into it. I mean, you know, it is causing some inconvenience and could be some hazardous conditions for people that live on that road and drive on that road. And if we can convince them to use an alternative route. Of course, there for a while, they were working on the railroad bridge or the railroad trestle there down near Possum Trot, and they couldn't go through that road to the plant, crossing the old Cypress Bridge. And because they were doing construction there for a while. Whether that's finished or not, I don't know. So we'll continue to work with Waste Path. Okay. We have a drawdown request from disbursement for the lease agreement between the Kentucky Association of Counties Finance Corporation as leaseor and the County of Marshall as leasee. The leasee, and this is on our Children's Arts Center, request a disbursement from the participant disbursement account in the amount of $44,895, and hereby certifies as follows: except that with respect to a disbursement to pay an interest component of lease rental payments during construction of a project, only the document described in A below will be required. Attached is a statement of the amount and nature of each item, of the cost of the project to be paid, and the name and address of payee with payee statement, and if reimbursement to the lessee of amounts previously paid is requested, evidence of such payment. As I said, this payment is for $44,895. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve disbursement.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. The cemetery board is asking approval. They would like to ask the court for funds to attend a seminar on July 27th at the Dale Hollow State Park. Bob was planning to go up and back in one day. It's 231 miles, about 3 hours and 45 minutes. I said, Bob, you know, that's a long way to drive and sit through a seminar and then turn around and come home. But anyway, he has asked if the court would consider one or more of the cemetery board members to attend this seminar. They feel like it would be helpful. So what's your pleasure?
Motion approved, Judge.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We've all received from Emily the salary schedule for FY14 approved in the budget with some personnel changes in jail and 911. These changes happened since the payroll side of the budget was created. It's where employees have left and replacements have been hired or will be hired. In every case, the actual amount is equal to or less than what was budgeted. Nothing is more than what was approved in the budget. I think you all got a copy of that. What's your pleasure?
Do we need to, we've already approved that, haven't we?
Well,
This is just a schedule the auditors
This is a
require.
schedule the auditors require us to have and be approved in the court.
Motion approved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. We have, for your information, the special contributions budget for FY14. We talked about this before. Does anybody have any problem with any of that? I'd entertain a motion to approve special contributions list.
I didn't see the fair on there. Don't we always have the fair as one of ours?
This past year was a special contribution to the fair. In lieu of an advertisement, we did a contribution
Right.
in lieu of advertising. But the prior year, we eliminated the fair contribution.
Are you sure?
Yep.
We eliminated
thought we always did the
everything
fair.
except these few here.
I don't remember that. I thought we did the fair, Family Week, any of those big events.
And then we still have the $500 you just approved for the guard paper.
So at
So
least
we've still got
$3,500
$3,500 in flexible.
that you can put
that is-
somewhere.
Right.
That is available for allocation.
I guess my only fear would be is if we don't budget for the fair, that $500, then it might not be there when we, unless you all don't, are you all?
$500 to the fair.
We've been doing the fair. Do you all want to leave that in there and go ahead and budget for it so that we know we've only got 3,000 in flex funds? Or do you just want to leave it open and make that contribution when it's requested?
We can budget it, and use it or not.
Whatever y'all want to do. Okay with me. You think we ought to add that on there, Ms. Wood?
I think we should maybe just go ahead and note that we made the 500 to National Guard, so it only reflects 3,000 in flex funds, just so we know what's in there.
Okay. So
That's
we'll
all right.
add, let's add the guard contribution, 500 the county fair, and that reduces your flex fund to 3,000.
Is that okay with you?
Can I get a motion to that effect?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Appropriation condition report.
That section, and
Do what?
There's two portions of this. There's a contribution section and then a membership section.
Need a motion on the membership as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, the membership, I'm sorry. This is for, emergency responders, national animal control. We can take out the penny around narcotics, but we've already done that. CAFTO, Kentucky Magistrates Commissioners, Kentucky Judge Executives, Kentucky Association of Mitigation, Kentucky Emergency Management, Hazmat One, the Chamber, NACO, Kentuckians for Better Transportation, Emergency Responders, Purchase Area Development District, Animal Control, COLA,
it's Kentucky Occupational License Association.
okay, and CAFTO. No, we did not list ATVG, Association of Tennessee Valley Government, that's
I
Not
think
much.
believe it's $500, I believe, somewhere in there, and I think it has a different line item. It may not, but I know it's in the
it's in the budget.
ones
but-
that were approved
Yeah.
today.
Make a
Okay.
motion to approve if you need a motion, Judge.
Have a motion to approve the memberships. Second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Emily?
This is our quarterly report, it's our fourth quarter report for the fiscal year. We ended the fiscal year with, general fund had an unencumbered cash balance of $140,026.85. Road fund, $103,978.95. Jail fund, $69,995.35. Grant fund, $6,526.87. 911 fund, $154,556.79. Occupational tax administrator is $2,762,493.34. And veterans van fund, $2,647, for a total unencumbered cash balance of $2,919,697.13. And then your backup documentation is attached to show each receipt and expenditure line item, as well as our, long-term liability statement. This will need your approval to send this to DLG for submission.
Motion to approve submission of the report.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Accounts receivable?
The payroll fund accounts receivable has, the sheriff's office owes $454,787.88 as of June 30th. Since that time, he has made a payment, so I don't have an updated amount on that, but, it was about, I think you paid 2 payrolls?
I think so,
I
yeah.
think so, so it's
Mhm.
approximately $110,000 less than that.
And again, and I say this all the time, this is nothing unusual. We advance the sheriff because he works off of his tax collection and fees. He'll settle up when taxes come in. This is true in every county that I know of. There might be some rich sheriff somewhere, I don't know.
I don't know
It's
of any.
pretty much standard that the fiscal courts advance the sheriff for their operations until such time as taxes come in. Okay, go ahead. Need a motion on the encumbrance report, or accounts receivable?
Motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Treasurer's settlement, you already done
This is another end cap of the fiscal year. General fund, We received $7,401,277. Road fund, $3,712,700,006. Jail fund, $2,042,411. Grant fund, $91,411. 911 fund, $663,997. Occupational tax administrator fund, $2,979,865. Veterans Band fund, $8,583. $8,583.
Thank you.
For a total revenue of $16,899,550.
And you can see
Yes,
what the balances are in each one. We won't read each one of them unless you have a question. Do I hear a motion to approve the
Motion approved, Judge.
subject to audit? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Interfund transfers.
I'm asking your approval to move from occupational tax fund to the 911 fund, $31,250. That's our budgeted subsidy. To the general fund, $1,500,000. To the road fund, $100,000, and to the jail fund, $100,000, for a total of $1,731,250.
Motion approved, the transfer, Judge.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Where are you now?
Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, go ahead.
This is a little bit redundant because it matches our quarterly report, but June 30th, general fund had a book balance of $178, 908.88. Road fund, $128,837.33. Jail fund, $79,506.24. Grant fund, $1,526.87. 911 fund, $154,712.57. Occupational tax administrator, $2,762,493.34. The Veterans Band fund, $2,647, for a total in all funds of $3,313,632.23.
You need a motion on that? All right, we need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion approved, the report, Judge.
Have a motion, subject to audit. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Incumbents report.
This report is to show expenses that are 4 months prior to this fiscal year, since they're being paid out in fiscal year 14, that they are expenses from fiscal year 13. These numbers are reflected in that quarterly report. Our general fund total is $38,882.03. Road fund, $24,858.38. Jail fund, $9,510.89, and 911 fund, $155.78, for a total of $73,407.08. This is just so the auditors can verify that we did have those amounts in those funds at the time that the fiscal year ended.
What's your pleasure?
Motion approved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Appropriation transfer.
Okay. I'm asking to transfer, I need to cover fiscal court legal fees, $10,000. And then asking to amend this report to add to it, to cover out of reserves, $2,800 to the judicial janitorial salaries, $2,080 to cover Ricky's inman's pay increase that you all just voted to approve. This will leave the general fund reserve balance at $43,220.
You heard the request. What's your
Motion to
pleasure?
approve.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Animal shelter report. Animals, in the pen as of 5/31/13/33. Animals brought in by wardens 24. Animals brought in by citizens 78. Total animals taken in 102. 35 dogs, 20 cats, 5 puppies, 42 kittens. Animals adopted 56. Animals in foster care 6. Animals reclaimed 7. Animals euthanized 14. Animals in the pen and in foster care as of the end of the fiscal year, 64. Adoptions, fees, $1,231.50. Just continue to get a huge amount of animals brought in. Any questions on the animal shelter report?
No.
All right, you've had an opportunity to review the bills. Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
Second.
Motion and second to pay the bills. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business come before this court?
Judge, I just have a question.
Yes.
The animal control officers recently went to training and both indicated that they had a lot of things that they wanted to share with the court. Do you all want to meet with them as well as maybe the shelter committee? Or, because I know they're gonna have things they probably would like to see whether or not it could be implemented. So how would you all like to, would you like for the committee to meet with them, or would you as a court like to meet with them?
Well, I think the court needs to meet with them.
Do you wanna set a date for that so that?
We can, probably be next week. But we're more than happy to set a date. Does anybody have a particular day that was better than another? Try to do it late in the afternoon if we could, so Bob wouldn't have to miss work.
Works for me.
Well, I mean, after 3 o'clock, so. And I think that would suit them, I don't.
Yeah, I can do that.
What day works best for you, Bob?
Yeah,
Maybe like
don't have anything.
Tuesday, the 23rd?
Fine.
Fine with me, Melanie, make a note so we can call 23rd at 3:30, will that be okay?
Works for me.
Is it,
Well, Jeff and Jason in the court and, the doghouse people. The animal wardens.
Here,
Yeah, why don't we just meet here, be fine.
Okay.
Can we give the press notice now, so I don't have to,
yeah, you can announce it.
we're gonna announce we're gonna meet Tuesday?
I'll send you an email either way.
We'll send you an email.
When
3:30.
if you announce it in an open meeting, that takes care of the notice.
Oh, okay. Gary?
Thank you, Your Honor. On July the 2nd, we had a special call meeting. There was a motion made and approved to hire an outside attorney from Louisville to investigate the ethics charges that were leveled against you by some commissioners. I was wondering if we could get a progress report from the county attorney on where that investigation stands at this time.
Yeah.
Part of the portion, my understanding is a portion of the interviews have been completed, and there will be more this week.
More interviews. Thank you.
Any other business?
Motion adjourned, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Meeting is adjourned. Yep.